Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Newsgram. What happens when an inventor creates technology that the government depends on and then loses it all when he speaks out? Today, we're going to dive into the book Help Yourself, a story of FBI corruption by Martin Kaiser III. Marty Kaiser is a self-taught electronics expert whose work helped uncover the Watergate bugs and whose story inspired the film Enemy of the State with Gene Hackman and Will Smith.
I was deeply involved in the movie Enemy of the State. Jerry Bruckheimer saw an article about the, what the heck was it? Oh, the NSA and how the NSA functioned. And he said, we got to do a movie about this, but we've got to connect it to the rest of us in society. So I sold a debugging kit to, I can't remember Andy's last name, at Disney Productions. And the two of them got together and they said, well, we tie the Navy story to the Marty Kaiser story and we'll make a movie. And since I was both the technical guru and the victim, they made Gene Hackman the technical guru and Will Smith the victim. And you basically put those two together and you get me.
The film is a fictional thriller, but it raises very real concerns about unchecked government power and the abuse of surveillance technology. Concerns that eventually led Marty to testify before Congress.
And I was contacted by the House Select Committee on Intelligence, who wanted to know about my sales of bugging equipment to various agencies. They sent two investigators to my shop, Tim Oliphant and Rich Vermeer, and they asked if they could see my sales of bugging equipment. So I pulled open a file drawer, and there they all were.
Why was he producing and selling bugging equipment in the first place? Why did Congress want to look at his files? And how did the FBI get involved anyway? All good questions. And it all started with a walk and a wrong turn. Let's rewind to the early 1970s in the Broadway East neighborhood of Baltimore. Standing outside the old American Brewery building, now a national landmark, is a young Marty Kaiser who just decided to take a walk.
And when I left American Brewery, I made a left turn instead of a right turn, and I found myself in front of Fort Holabird, Maryland, the Center for Army Intelligence. So I figured there's got to have something broken in there, and drove around until I found a door that said supply, knocked on it, and met a Captain Domes. And sure enough, they had tape recorders, lie detectors, all kinds of equipment that needed to be repaired. And I started at the top of the shelf, worked my way all the way down the bottom, and fixed everything they had.
That's what Marty does. He fixes things. He has a natural talent for tinkering with technology and solving problems.
I guess the best point is to start with my job at RCA Laboratories in Princeton. And that led me eventually to Barbados, West Indies, where I developed what is known as the over-horizon radar. Normal radar can only see to the horizon, and this can see all the way around the world. They can see your back of your head, actually. And it's still in use today, primarily in the anti-drug operations.
I find all of this so fascinating. A savvy drug trafficker might try to fly under the radar or use other tricks to avoid detection. But Marty's technology could literally bounce signals off the ionosphere to detect movement and objects across oceans, through jungles, and far beyond the horizon. As he put it, it could even see the back of your head. So as you can imagine, tech like that has a wide range of applications, and it makes Marty a pretty fascinating guy. Eventually, his passion for solving problems led him to Armco Steel, where he was brought in to repair a broken emerscope,
which is a device that can actually look through a steel ingot and see if there are any cracks or air bubbles in it. I fixed it, and he was very happy. It resulted in a bunch of other jobs just came out of that. He called all of it the equivalents throughout Baltimore, and I had a ton of customers practically overnight with that one sales call. I did all the steel mills, plastic companies, copper refineries, and in the bunch with breweries.
And then, of course, there was the broken equipment in the storage locker of the Center for Army Intelligence.
But one thing I noticed is that for intelligence purposes, they were using commercially available equipment rather than equipment specifically designed for the job they were trying to do. So I offered to make a audio amplifier for them, and they accepted. From that point, I started manufacturing other products as I listened to the people in the intelligence community to see what they were trying to do. And I followed that shortly with the first handheld bug detector, and I followed that with a telephone analyzer that measures all parameters on the telephone line to see if it's been wiretapped or bugged surreptitiously. And that became the standard of the intelligence community. Interestingly, that was what found the Watergate bugs. That was a big plus.
The audio amplifier he mentioned was Model 1059, and it would eventually be used by the Bomb Disposal Squad, and it led to a robust business with many customers. But then, the Omnibus Crime Bill surfaced, and things took a dramatic change.
Well, the Omnibus Crime Bill was passed around 1968, and that made it illegal to manufacture, assemble, possess any device or component thereof which was capable of illegal interception of oral communication. So when the FBI started buying bugging equipment from me, I had a problem with that and told the FBI that I really couldn't accept orders from the FBI. And they said, well, we use a phony front called U.S. Recording Company. I thought, well, that sounds good, but they are not a government agency. So I told the FBI I will build the U.S. Recording Company and deliver the equipment to you, which is what I did.
Built into the Omnibus Crime Bill was an automatic 5-year review. Eventually, the House Select Committee on Intelligence came knocking and asking about his sales, including those to the mysterious U.S. Recording Company.
They said, what's this? And I said, that's the FBI. And they said, oh? So the next thing I know, before the House Select Committee on Intelligence, telling the story that one time at the FBI headquarters, I had seen one of my invoices that had been marked up 150%. And I thought, well, that's strange. I just said that's their business and let them do what they want to do. But that was a big no-no. That started a disaster that has lasted now pretty much until today, from 1975. Once I made my testimony before the House Select Committee on Intelligence, I lost all of my intelligence agency customers overnight. I was doing $500,000 a year with the intelligence agency people. After that fateful day, I did zero from then to today. They just cut me off entirely.
You've heard the expression, you can't fight City Hall. So, being as resourceful as he was, he pivoted again to bomb disposal, developing hundreds of life-saving products. Eventually, that too was shut down. All of this is documented in his book, Help Yourself, a pretty fascinating read.
It's hard to look back and think about all this, but the amazing thing is I've never had a course in electronics in my life. And when I conceived these products, I just knew how to do it. I don't know how I did it, but when an audio amplifier was needed, I designed it, developed it, manufactured it, and that was it. And it's just a certain amount of joy that comes out of that. But so anyhow, it was fun. In spite of the terror and the tragedies, it really was a lot of fun.
Looking back on the terror and tragedy in your life can be a powerful motivator for writing a book. And Help Yourself is Marty's story, told by him from his perspective and from the trenches of real experience. If you enjoyed Enemy of the State or even Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, you'll definitely want to check out Help Yourself, a story of FBI corruption by Martin Kaiser. You can find it wherever you like to buy books, or you can go directly to his website, martykaiser.com. That's going to do it for this edition of Newsgram. As always, thanks for listening.